Welcome to Paterson Just Because with Marisol. Today episode, it's an amazing story. It's this kid at the age of 18, he hit the street, but not knowing that by getting in trouble, he gets into jail, sentenced to 10 years. But when he gets inside, it's a whole new life. Stay tuned. Hey, Nowin, how are you?
How you doing, Marisol? Long
I'm
time.
doing wonderful. I am so excited that you're here with us. I can imagine how our listeners are going to be today like, oh my God, what a story. So, first of all, um, guys, it's going to be amazing. First of all, thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Yes. Noel, I'm sorry, I keep saying Noel. Guys, this right here have three brothers that basically are named the same. So don't kill me if I say no will, da will, but his name is Knowing.
No,
Anyway.
Yes.
Um, tell me a little bit about you. Who is Knowing?
My name is Nowin. I have two brothers. One's No Will, the other's Not Will. I'm the oldest. I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey. My parents came from the Dominican Republic in the 70s, I think. I think my family was one of the first Dominican families in Paterson because my grandfather and my grandmother came in the 60s, I think. Papa had a bodega on East 18th and it burned down. Tío Juan Luis, my uncle Juan Luis passed away. They used to run it. But I went to John F. Kennedy High School, and I come from a good traditional Dominican family.
What?
Very hardworking. But like most young kids, I was born in '84. I was in the streets. Patterson was a rough place we grew up in. So mom was working. So we used to go outside and
And Noel, let me interrupt you a little bit about um, 80s because I come from the same family, come from the Dominican Republic. Very proud, to be who I am today. But I can relate to what you're saying. Your family was one of the first to come here. My parents as well came in back in the 70s and 80s. And I think I had the best childhood in Paterson, which
yeah.
Paterson was like back then was not like wow wow. But your story, I mean, tell me how it was living in Paterson with an amazing family. You truly believe that you had the best upbringing.
Yeah. But the thing you think about it, we're first generation. I'm first generation American because my mother and my father came from the other. I'm the first American born here, me and my brothers. So, my grandparents had a house on Park Ave, Park by East, like half a block away from Eastside High School.
And that is in
In
Paterson, New Jersey.
Patterson, New Jersey, yes.
Yes.
So, my mom lived in the first floor, me and my brothers, my grandmother lived in the second floor, and like most houses in Patterson, they have bedrooms in the basement. They used to rent them, bedrooms in the attic. And my grandmother used to cook for all these people they used to rent. So there was food, and my aunt Tia Luda used to live in the basement. So I go to the basement. There's food down there. I go to my house. Mama used to make food. I go upstairs, grandma food. So and then we had a big backyard. The Dominican parade used to pass in front of my house. So Mama used to sell quipas and patelitos in the front. When the driveway, was where the party was going on while the parade is going down. So I think those were the best times. The 80s and 90s in Patterson. Period. Like compared to now, back in the day, everything was so simple.
What do you miss from back then to now?
The simplicity of life. Like now it's all about who has money, who has this. I was saying that to my friend the other day. I saw a IA BMW and I wasn't impressed. And back in the day, you saw 3 Series BMW, like, oh my God, a BMW.
Yes, that's like a
what I'm saying?
Lambo.
Yeah, it wasn't about. I said when I was in high school, if you saw 5 people with Jordans, it was a lot. Now it's all about who has sneakers, who has this. And back in the day, you only knew what was going on in your neck of the woods. Now you go on social media and you can see what's going on in Japan, anywhere in the world.
Well, back
Back
then
in
we
the day,
didn't
we
have
just
that.
knew what was going on there, and that's it. We didn't know what was going on anywhere, and we knew what was going on in Santo Domingo because we Dominican for some reason Dominican, we're very close and we stay knitted with what's going the Dominican community.
So, do you believe that your upbringing was, as you know, growing in Patterson, there is, and we have faced a lot of dysfunctionality with family, and not only because the Latino community, but also in every race, but more the Latino. And I can say from my end, I got to see my best friend's parents being heroin addicts and terrible. But your family, you seems to have that memories that they were the best grandparents. Your mom, your dad were married. You grew up in an amazing environment.
Well, and a lot of things I was shielded from because I was talking to my uncle who passed away through Halloween, and he told me that when he first came here, they went to Eastside High School, and that's when Principal Clark was there. And he told me when you grew up, you just fought for because you was from this block or another block. He said we used to fight. It was racial. People hated me because I was Spanish, and we hated them because they were black. So it's more intense when it's race wars. So I could picture that era of Patterson when he was going there. So when I was going to high school, it was just, oh, you're from Market Street, I'm from Park Ave, we don't get along. Or you're Puerto Rican, but when it was more with race, Theo explained like he used to run home because hey, you're different, you're not black, or and if you see the movie with Principal Clark, it explains.
I love that movie.
Yeah, then
yes.
my aunt, my tia Sandra, my tia Holly was going to that school around that era, so I put myself in his state of mind. It was just totally, you see the eras of how the town changed
Isn't that
from
amazing?
generation to generation. Yeah.
Do you still go to Paterson and see what's happening now? Like, do you pass by Park Ave? Do you
Well,
see
I
your
still live in
house?
Patterson, but I
Okay.
live on a different side of Patterson. I live closer to like Hawthorne, Fairlawn area,
Okay.
so it's tranquilo there. So Patterson is always locked.
Tranquilo means it's a nice area.
It's a yeah, Patterson area, the east side of Patterson. They even named it
Way.
Dominican Public Way. You go there at 3 in the morning and you smell barbecues in the backyard at that time. It's like that section of Patterson is
Has not
always lit.
changed.
You know what I'm saying? So it's nostalgic
Yeah.
when
So
I go
you
over
miss
there.
you miss all that.
Yeah, because the house is still there. The house been in the family for 40 years.
Oh,
It
so
was
your family still own
it
that
was my
the property?
grandparents' house. Then my aunt Tia Selenia bought it, and then it passed to my mother, and then for my mother now, my uncle Silverio has it. So that house been in
Amazing.
the family for like 40 years now.
That is wonderful. What
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah.
What a story. So tell me a little bit about how was you going to high school? You went to Kennedy
I
High
went to
School.
Kennedy High School.
Kennedy High School. And let me explain a little bit about Eastside, Kennedy, Tech. Tell me, because I can relate to all three of them. But back then, going to Eastside High School was like the worst, right?
They say Eastside's the worst out of all three. Then maybe Tech was the best.
Yes.
People wanted to go to Tech, but they didn't. They didn't.
Qualify.
Yes, you had to fill out a application to be, and then if you had good grades, they pick you. So when they didn't pick me, I was devastated because I'm like everybody always talks about Tech, but
No, wait, why didn't you get accepted to Tech?
I didn't have good grades. My grades were, but they also pick people that are very smart and have like talents.
Okay.
Like Rosa Parks, if you could draw,
Well,
you go to
now Rosa Park exists,
stuff.
but back then it didn't.
So Tech was like that, picked people that had like special talents and stuff. But
You went to Eastside.
I went to Kennedy.
Oh, you're. Tell me a little bit about that high school versus Eastside, because I know
We're
that
rivals.
exactly.
Kennedy Knights versus Eastside Ghosts. So we used to play every Thanksgiving. I think we used to play football.
Okay.
Rivals. But Kennedy, it was a little bit more laid back than Eastside because it was on the west side of Patterson up there,
Yes.
close to Totowa.
Yes.
So it was more laid back. But I was happy when I went there. I didn't want to go. Once I went there, it was Tech was not in my mind anymore. So I'm glad I came here.
So, and I'm gonna ask you, how was that experience in Kennedy High? Were you a good kid? Were you a
I was a
trouble
good-
kid?
I was a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
A little bit of a mixed.
It's hard, man, because the peer pressure. You want to cut class, you want to chill with girls, and I was one of the popular kids. So
Ooh, popular. Let's talk about popular.
I was one of the popular.
Why popular?
I don't know. I had long hair. I had braids back then.
Ooh, well, back then when you had long hair, braid,
Yeah, I used to have a chain on. I used to dress nice. So, and I got along where there was by hallways. They had a Dominican hallway. They had like a Riverside hallway. They had what's up there? Brook Slope projects were up there, so you had the Brook Slope. Like it was different size of hallway, so you couldn't have a locker in the Dominican hallway if you wasn't Dominican. So like it was crazy like that. But
What do you mean you couldn't have a locker because you were Dominican?
no, they had a Dominican hallway. So if you wasn't Dominican, you couldn't have a locker in that part of the hallway.
Oh, if
Cause
you weren't Dominican. Oh
yeah,
my God.
because it
Yes.
was by section. Then uh, Patterson has a big Arabic community. South Patterson is all
Correct.
Arabic.
Yes.
So a lot of Arabic kids go to Coach Kennedy. So they had an Arabic hallway where there was mostly Arabics in that hallway. So it was, but high school was one of the best years of my life. I think.
Okay. So, what happened within that 4 years of high school? You prep yourself for college? Were you one of those students that your mentality or your parents, your family, your loved ones were like, okay, knowing we're going to prep you, you're going to apply for this college? Were you one of those? And again, growing up in a Dominican community, and I hate to say this, but unfortunately, and myself being Dominican, growing up in a Dominican family, very Dominican, very Latino. Unfortunately, a lot of our parents didn't focus on our college education.
Yeah, you did think about working.
Exactly. So, were your parents focused on your education as to what's going to happen once my child is on a senior or on a junior grade, and now we have to prep him and start finding a good college? Or did you have that?
Well, my parents divorced when I was like 12. So my father moved. Well, even though my father's Dominican, he moved to Puerto Rico because he had a brother that had a business out there. He left out there, but my father, always he never forgot us financially. He always took care of me financially. But my mother was also a working lady, so she, it was just me and both my brothers. So mommy always told me, "You're not gonna stay in this house unless you're working or going to school, and I prefer you to do it either or." What the mangazón on the mueble.
But she was supporting you going to
She was
college.
supporting me going to college.
But if you didn't want to go to college,
I at
well,
least
then go with that and just go to work.
He said, "Yeah, you got to have either or."
But did you feel that you were getting that push, that support from your mom?
No,
That I like. For me personally, as a mom, being, and not only being Dominican, but as a mom, my most important thing is that my kids get the best of the best education. So in your situation, you believe that your mom didn't give you that push?
no, because our parents, like I said, I was first generation American. They don't come with that mentality from the Dominican Republic. Their mentality is let's work hard and retire back to DR. So like I'll wake up and I see my father in the morning and bendición papi, and he's on the way. Mommy left to work already. I grab some cereal and go to school. So it was, parents now are more hands on. They talk to their kids about stuff. But back in the day, it wasn't. They went to work and they made sure they provided three meals and a roof over
Shelter.
our head. So they came with that mentality from the yard that it was about working hard and just trying to like for a future. They didn't know about the American way. They didn't know about. You talk to my father about a cop or having to go to school. He used to get cold sweats. Like, well, I gotta go to school to talk about. It was like as they went. But my mother to this day, her English is chopped up. Like it's like she didn't. It was all
She didn't.
about.
She didn't
It
educate
was all about work.
herself to go to school for English.
But they went to college in DR, my parents. So they wanted me to go to college, and I did. I went to Passaic County Community College.
Okay.
But then my grandmother passed away, hit me very hard. Lou, she was my
From
great
your
grandmother.
paternal.
My great grandmother.
Okay.
Luz. So this was my mother's grandmother.
Okay.
So I got to meet my grandmother. She passed away in 2003. I graduated high school 2002. So I was only a year in college, and I got out because
You got out once she died, once she passed.
Yeah, the death of her hit me hard, and by then I was already in the streets like chilling.
So, do you believe that your great grandmother Luz was what kind of figure was she to you? She
was a role model, man.
was your role model.
She was like a second mother to me because when my mother was working, she took care of me. Her and my other grandmother, her daughter.
So, do you believe that if she would have been around, you would have went to college or stay in college?
She was a person that I cared about her opinion. Just say that.
Oh.
So, yeah, if I let her down, basically when she died, I didn't have nobody to let her down. She wasn't around to let down anymore. She wasn't there to be like.
Well, wherever she's at, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that she will love you. She loves the person that you are today.
I hope so.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. So what happened? You went to college. You went to PCC, which is Passaic County Community College, which is a community college in
Yes.
Paterson.
Yeah, and that's what people like us, that's the closest you could go. You couldn't go to Ivy League school. I couldn't go unless you was an athlete. So I figured Passaic County Community College, they gave you financial aid and all that.
But why not join the Air Force or any
At the time, that
rank, any
wasn't.
military?
At the time, that wasn't as glorified as now because back then there was no war.
And then what I ask knowing is because I tend to find out that low income family, their kids tend to sign up for the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy, because it's a way out of going to college for free.
Yes. And
Nice.
the way to travel the world, but most kids like that they have it in their family. I never had nobody in my family that went to any that never held a position of like military or cop or any of that. So it was never like and then back then it wasn't as big as now because back then there wasn't 9/11 it wasn't around yet.
True.
After 9/11, that's when it was talked about. We're gonna fight for the country. That we got attacked on our soil and all that. Back then, that wasn't. It wasn't.
Did you feel that, and I'm going to go very deep, very personal. Do you feel that your father made a big impact by not being there for you?
Yes, because I think it's hard to raise men. And so for a woman with three boys,
I
and no
did.
father figure,
I can
it's
relate to your
hard. Yeah,
mother because
you
I
gotta have
did
a
myself.
you gotta have a strong. Mothers are quick to let things go when fathers don't. So when you have boys, especially three, for one woman, you run circles
A
around her.
lot.
So when he left, he wasn't the guy that when he talked, you listened. So when he wasn't around, it's like, I know I could push mommy around. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think
it's
it
hard.
did have an impact. My father not being there.
So now you start college. You started going to PCC, and you lose Di, who's your great grandmother, who you look up to, but
Yeah,
she's no longer there.
she's no longer there.
So now you feel that
I don't need to go to college anymore. The person that
you lost it.
yeah, because I wouldn't impress her more than my own mom. So I'm like, I lost her, hit me, so I got out of college. And by then, I'm chilling with the guys, girls, smoking weed. I'm going to the block. With my section where I grew up, I go to the block. We're chilling every day. And, one thing leads to another. Then next thing you don't want to work and you want to sell drugs.
So you end
And
up selling drugs.
you want the fast way, because my mother couldn't afford to buy me Jordans and I want Jordans. I want to wear a chain. Like, people don't understand that our role models weren't Martin Luther King growing up or Malcolm X or people from the Dominican Republic.
Real life, man.
My icon was Jose from the corner that they got the BMW that gave my neighbor money to buy a turkey on Thanksgiving because she couldn't afford it. But he getting that money. He's the drug dealer, but he's the guy we be like, oh. As a kid, you don't look at the bad. You look at the glory, at what's glorified. So I always say this: a grown person can mold the child to do whatever you want because you're a child, you're innocent. Then after you get into the trouble and you grow up, you're like, damn, that wasn't the guy I had to look up to. But by then it's too late. So But we come from a place like that our role models is the local drug dealer that has the BMW and the gold and the women, especially coming from towns like Paterson or Newark or Jersey City, because I'm comparing New Jersey. Well, New York, you got the five boroughs, but here,
Yeah.
those were the towns that were caliente back in the day. To this day, those are the towns that still are caliente.
So what happened? What happened with knowing? What happened with now you're hitting the streets. You're selling drugs. You looked up to the drug dealer. You looked up to that BMW, that Jordan that he had, and you wish you have. But now you can't because you can afford that. You come from a very low income family, barely making it.
Yes.
So college goes, shit, fuck college, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm hitting the streets. I want to be someone. What was that mentality? How did you cope with the fact that you come from an amazing family? Your mom is struggling. to provide. But you said, well, you know what? You're the oldest. I'm assuming you're the
I'm
oldest
the
brother.
oldest, yeah.
I am going to hit the streets and be a drug dealer.
The things that were amazing though, you didn't see it as a kid. Now that I'm older, I see it was amazing because my family never missed the Christmas, and we used to go to Dominican. We used to travel. So if there's families that didn't even have that. So now that I look at it, I was like, we actually had a good childhood. I never missed nothing in my house. Christmases came around, we had presents. Vacations came, summer came around, and we were sent to DR to have fun for 2 months out there. So now at 36 years old, I see that like, oh, it wasn't really that bad. But back then, it was. Then as a kid, you don't see that. You know where you at. You in the hood. You know what I'm saying. So you saw kids that have more than you though. That they have. My mother could afford to buy me Reeboks, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted Jordans. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I wanted the fast money, and then the other kids that I see around me, they were doing that. So like follow the leader. So selling drugs was like part of what we. It was there as part of the culture. So it was easy to do.
And I can relate to your mom as a single mom because I also went through all that. Raising two kids, I had a boy and a girl back then, and it's very hard. Oh my God, it's very hard trying to keep them from the streets and the drugs and I have so much respect for your mother, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So what happened to you once you were in the streets? Any
Uh,
any life change?
I caught a case. So
At what age?
I was 18. 3 months after, yes, 3 months after my 18th, but no, I had just turned 18. So 18, 19 around there. It was 18 and 19. I got caught up on attempted murder.
Wow.
So
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience? You got
I
so
was I was
how
sent
did
to,
you get caught? I'm not going to ask you how you got caught. You got caught. But how was that experience? You only 18, had just turned 18 and as a teenager, well 18, my God, I feel like I'm an adult. You could do anything. But you're only 18. You just feel that it's you're the guy out there, 18 years old, I'm the man.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was like you hear about people doing bids all the time. So it was like it was nothing. It came with the territory. So at the time, I didn't think nothing of it. But when I got locked up, and they start throwing these numbers around, and I know my family can afford to pay a high attorney.
So you got caught with attempted murder
Yes,
at the age of 18. Your parents couldn't afford paying a higher end attorney
yeah.
to so you had
I took a number,
you took
so it was. If I would have went to trial with a public defender, they would have gave me 20, 30 years. So they offered me 10 years. I took that
they offer you 10 year.
10 years. So the way it is in the state of New Jersey. If it's a violent crime, you do 85% of the time. Now, if it's not a violent crime, you could do a flat number. So let's say you get caught with a gun. That's not violent. A gun carries 5 years. So you do a flat number, you do 18 months, you're home. But now if it's five with an 85%, you do 4.5 years. See the difference?
Okay.
So out of 10 years, or 85%, since it was a violent crime, I did 8.5 years. So I came home 3 months after my 31st birthday, I think.
Okay,
No, no,
we're
30th birthday.
we're gonna jump a little bit into that later because there's a lot of information that we need to know. So you're going to jail at the age of 18. How is your life getting in? Putting your this was your first time going into jail, I'm assuming,
Well, I got locked up here and there, but for
but
little
not
dumb
really
stuff, they
like
let you
a
go with bail and then you pay a fine. This is my first time doing
real time.
time. Yes.
Okay. So how was your life getting what was your process? I mean, thinking about going into jail at the age of 18, sentenced to 10 years. No, 8. How many years you got sentenced?
10,
You
but I did
sentenced to
eight and a
10.
half.
Okay, but you get sentenced to
I
10.
got sentenced to 10. Yes.
So your mentality was like, I'm doing 10.
Yeah, my mentality was I'm doing 10
Yes.
years.
So once you get there, what was your thought process? No,
I
I
was
am no
I
longer.
was so depressed. I wasn't. It was crazy because I knew my family. My mom, she was going crazy. I spoke to my father. And my father says, I remember exactly what he told me. He said, "You didn't have no need to do that. You came from a good family, pero a ti siempre te gustó lo malo." That's what my father told
You
me.
didn't need to hear that, right?
And
Because you
I'm like,
just want that like that
relax. I'm
support.
like, yeah, my man, relax.
Yes, that's not what
Yeah,
you wanted to
and
hear from daddy.
it was crazy. But
Yes.
I was in there, man. I got depressed right in because I knew what it was. I was like, I might as well get comfortable. I'm not gonna. My family can afford my bail. My bail was $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Bergen County. It wasn't Bergen County. It would have been in Passaic County. Would have been my. I probably would have did less time because Bergen County is a white, is, you know, it's a higher bracket up there. They don't want to see that. Paterson and Passaic County just happens every day, so I probably would have got less time. But it's Bergen, and that's why I didn't want to play with the system because I know at the end of the day even though I'm an American, I'm a Spanish. I'm Spanish. So you go in front of a white judge for violence. You don't play with that. You try to come home because you play with them and they'll forget you. They'll throw away the key. So I say, you know what? Let me take this 10 years and call it and count my blessings. So I was in there. I was depressed because I knew what it was. I knew I was going to see my family for a while. I knew I was going to see the streets for a while. So I didn't even take a shower for 4 or 5 days at the beginning.
Depression
I
didn't
wasn't
allow you
brushing my
to.
teeth. I didn't see no reason to live. I was like, but I wasn't thinking suicidal. I was just thinking like sleeping all day in my bunk and just arropado and then
Did you believe that that sentence was fair for you?
no, it wasn't fair because it was my first time, and my mother said that. My mother said the first time you could have went and got a year or two. You went and got 10. So
So you think that your sentence wasn't fair because you were Latino, you were in front of a white judge.
my sentence wasn't fair because it was my first time, and I know it was violent, but they could have given me half of that because I've seen people get 10 years for murders.
Did you try to appeal this?
No, because since I copped out,
Okay.
I couldn't appeal. I would have to go to trial and lose, and then you can appeal.
Okay.
So by me copping out, that's it. I took that number. I'm guilty by taking that number. So that's what happens in the system a lot. In the system, a lot of people, they fold their hand because they rather not play games with the system and cop out to a number. They be like, look, they're giving me 2 years for something that if I go to try and lose, I get 10. Let me just take these 2 years and call it, even though you're innocent. Because the whole point is not playing with the system. Because just because you're innocent doesn't mean you're gonna win.
Wow.
Your lawyer has to prove that. And how you prove that? By paying money on an expensive lawyer. Because a public defender works for the same system
True
that's
story.
they're paying him. He's fighting the persons that are paying his paycheck. He's a public defender. When you have a private lawyer who works privately, that you're paying him $20,000, $30,000, he's gonna go in there and fight for you. You know. So I didn't have a Johnny Cochran. You know what I'm saying? I had to, I had to do what I had to do. So what I thank God for was that I was born in this country and they couldn't deport me. That's the only thing I held on to.
Because you were
And even
born.
then, INS came to see me.
Mm.
Yeah, they came to see me. They're like, hey,
You'll be like,
they're like, hey,
I'm American.
I started laughing. They're like, you're Dominican, so it's a chance you guys. So I started laughing in their face. They're like, what's so funny? I said, I'm Dominican by my parents are Dominican. I was born and raised in Paterson,
And
New
you know
Jersey.
what? And it's always been a confusion with, if you ask my kids, what nationality are you? They will tell you Dominicans.
Yes.
You're not Dominican. You're an American.
But if you say that, then people feel you're being
Betrayal. No,
you're betraying
Dominican.
la patria.
La raza.
Yeah, tú eres americano, yeah. So,
Wow.
but I thank God I was born here because what I would have been doing in DR.
Oh my God, please.
It's worse than here.
Of course. So here you are. You got sentenced to 10 years, 18-year-old. Let's talk a little bit about your mom, the struggle. As a mom, let me relate. Let me think it's my child, it's my baby, my oldest son. But as you know, we will always have our kids to
Yeah.
be. My son is 32, and he will always be my little boy, even though he will be like, maybe not. But did she struggle? And I'm pretty sure she did. What did she went through? Did
But
she
the thing,
talk to you about it?
my mom, I gotta pay for that one day. You know, cause we we believe in God. Our Dominicans, we're big on religion, on faith. And the Bible says, you make your mother cry, you're gonna pay for it 3 times for making your mother. So I know I'm gonna pay for that eventually. But my mother had moved to North Carolina with my brothers. She was doing good out there. And when I caught that bitch, she came back. You know what I'm saying? Because mommy, they send you far. They send me to down south in New York. When you go to state, they say upstate. In New Jersey, when most of the prisons are down south. So mommy used to go see me at Wrightstown,
In New Jersey?
in New Jersey, which is on the borderline of Jersey and Delaware, which is like a 3 hour drive.
Oh my God.
So she'll go for 3 hours, drive 3 hours to see me for an hour and a half, 2 hours, then to drive back. So it was like a 9 hour day.
Yeah, but for parents, for moms, it didn't matter.
I used
I'm
to tell
pretty
mommy
sure.
to come see me once a month, and she used to come every week. And I'm like, mommy,
Oh,
this. But she didn't
the
care,
mother
and
love.
it used to hurt me. And I'm like, ma, come once a month, and she wasn't with it. And my mother, she did the whole bit with me, So, I mean, sometimes I can't even look my mother in the face because I heard her a lot, but my mother never gave me her back, and it's something I will never forget.
Have you sat down with her and have this conversation and said, Mom, I'm sorry?
No, because my mother bien encerrada. Dominican women are bien encerrada. My mother's the
I'm sorry,
woman.
I'm very emotional.
My mother's the type of woman that you want to give her a kiss. Get out there, get out there. She was always, she showed us love by just being there.
Yeah.
Like I come home at 3 in the morning, mira, un mango y me lo hace. ¿Tú me entiendes? So, that's how Dominican mothers that grew up. They don't make women like you guys anymore. Like our
No.
mothers, like no more. Like they
No,
they,
but
they,
you
they
know,
endured a lot, but they didn't show us cariño. You
she
couldn't talk
didn't?
about stuff. No, what I mean, like affectionate cariño. The cariño came
Affection.
by being there, by cooking us food, by that was the cariño. It wasn't affectionate kisses and hugs and all that.
I'm very
Because
affectionate.
these women are
I'm
my
not.
mom was
I'm
a little
always
bit,
like
my
telling
mom
my
was a
kids I
little
love
bit
them.
older than you, though. My
Yeah.
mom probably got like 15 years on you, something like that.
Yeah.
But these women were brought different than the other. They were women that were taught to fight hard. So my mom was. We never sat down, but I figured by me just changing the way I was, I showed her. Like when I came home, I was doing so good, right? And I got a ticket, and I told her, do it, do it. I said, but damn. But you have
Like a
at
parking
least
ticket or
yeah, a ticket. I got stopped for a speeding ticket on the way to
oh,
work. I came home. I became I went to school, became a phlebotomist, dialysis technician.
oh, I want to talk about that.
But I finally got a ticket, and she's like, do it, and I'm like, yeah, but you haven't patted me on the back for not going back to the drugs, for not going back to the block, for not going back to the street. You haven't patted me for going to school,
And that
for
makes sense.
changing. Are you wailing over a ticket? And she basically, you know what? Like you're right. She thought because of that ticket, I was gonna go back to the old me. I'm like, but you haven't given me enough pats on the back for showing you that I changed after I came home.
I think that and you will hear and see that in a lot of Latino parents not being affectionate. That doesn't mean that we don't love our child.
Yeah.
We don't love our children, but we tend, and I'm going to
Tough love, Dominicans. Tough
I'm
love.
going to excuse myself.
Show me more than you. Show me.
I adore my kids, and I always let my kids know that I love them. I have a grandchild that, Jesus Christ, how much I love this child, and I always let her know that Mama, I love you, and I'm always believe that when you love someone, you need to let them know.
Yes.
And but do you love me? Yeah, I love you, but you didn't say it. So we need to. I'm one of those. I need to hear that my boyfriend loves me. Yeah, but I love you, but you didn't say that. So I'm like that. So I always make sure that my kids know that I love them, and not raising, but being in my granddaughter who's 3 and seeing her growing up, I want her to know that I love her and I'm always gonna be there for her,
Yes.
no matter what happened. So the Latino parents tend to go through that bullshit or that emotional thing.
Yeah.
Let your child know that I love you and that I'm always gonna be there for you. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean that they don't love you.
Yes.
Affectionate is a big thing. And perhaps you didn't have that from your mom,
But
but you
that's why I
always
give it to
knew.
my. I have a daughter, 5 year. My daughter about to be 6. I kiss her 1,000 times a day
And it's a
because I wasn't
wonderful.
kissed 1,000 times a day.
You see, and it touched my heart. I think, let me ask you a question that I'm intrigued. Did jail change you?
Yes.
And what
Well,
way?
I think I'm the same OG. I mean, I'm still the same OG.
I
But
like that.
I was in there with people that they were getting a lot of time, Marisol. Like I'm talking about, I saw guys get 57 years.
Wow.
I saw guys get 300 years.
Oh my
I
Jesus.
saw guys get 100 years. You know, and I was in there with the worst of the worst, and I met very good people in jail also. So it was a place that I never want to go back to. You know what I'm saying? So some of these guys, they taking their soul away right then and there. It was a guy they were offering him. I remember his name Al. They were offering him 10 years, 12 years. I said, Al, you have 5 in waiting for this trial. They're offering you 12. You go downstate. They give you do another 4 or 5 year home. He said, no man, I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it. Came back. They gave him 60 years. He lost trial. So I didn't even talk to him for 3 days. I said, let me give him a space. You go talk to a person like that, he will snap and want to punch you in the face. 3 days later, he came to my door. He said, you heard, right? I said, yeah, I heard that. I want to give you space. And then I get 10 years. How I go talk to this man and tell him I got 10 when he got 60?
You can't.
You see what I'm saying? So now I'm not even looking for him no more. Now I'm outside in the yard. I don't want to talk to you because I have hope. You don't. So I was around a lot of a lot of people that you just feel the coldness of the fact that their life is over. You
It's
know what I'm
over.
saying? So I didn't want to go back to that, and I think time changes. Things that were important to me are not. I used to tell my girl that I said one of the highlights of my day when I was younger was smoking weed. Now I don't smoke weed, and so that's not even the highlight of my day. So at 36, my life I got different mentality than what I did when I was 18. It's totally different, totally different.
Will you ever be the same?
I don't know. I don't think I changed as a person. I think I just became more mature. I still have a temper, but I'm a person. I stay away from stuff that. So I don't like clubbing. I go out to dinner. When my wife wants to go sometimes, let's say to Mama Juan. I don't go places like that because I know if somebody disrespect me, I'm not gonna think about no. I'm gonna punch you in the face.
And you stay
So
away from all
so what you
that.
do? You stay away from it.
So that's
Stay
one
away from
thing.
temptation. You know what I'm
Yes, true
saying? So
story. And one of the things that I always wanted to know is like I know when you're a badass forever, right? So being incarcerated, being in jail for so long, do you feel that in there you a thug, not a thug, I don't want to say a thug or anything, but let's say we hear music outside. Sorry.
well, in jail you gotta have your word. You know what
Yeah,
it
but
is?
that's my question. So you did your time in jail. You were like, because you have to protect yourself and you have to
No,
be
ain't no crying in jail.
there. Exactly. You have to be who you are and protect yourself and be the badass as well. But coming out of jail and being being out here now, your new life, did you feel like, and again, you didn't want to go to Mama Juana, to any clubs or anything because you feel that you're going to react the same way? Do you feel like you still have to have that shield of?
Well, if you're a recovering alcoholic, you shouldn't be in a bar. I try to stay from places that I would get in trouble because I'm not gonna care about. Even though I don't want to go back to jail, I'm not gonna let you disrespect me. So I try to stay away from crowds like that. Like when I first came home, my cousin took me to Mama Juana. I started having anxiety,
Okay,
and I left.
that's that's another question that I have for you.
Yeah.
Your life in the outside, but first, before that, how was your relationship with your inmates?
Well, everybody, this is the thing. When you go to jail, they ask you for your paperwork,
What the fuck? What?
your
Sorry.
your, your
Like,
charges. Let me see your paperwork.
Your inmates?
Yeah, the whatever pod you get to, they be like, yo, we have a new. Let me see your paperwork. So your paperwork, if you're anything there for hurting kids,
Oh,
pedophile, snitching, hurting women, you gotta go. So my paperwork, they saw there was a violent crime and everything. So for some Dominicans, look out for Dominicans. So un paisano, they give you a care package. So they stamps, chancletas, boom, and then when the next inmate come, you add to that. So so because you get in there, you gotta call out. People gotta send you money. So, yo, llegó un paisano, toma, dale estas tres stamps. Oh, dale esta chancleta para cuando se bañe y cosas así. So
so they look
they
up.
look out.
Yeah.
Puerto Ricans look out for Puerto Ricans. Black look out for blacks. So unless you're part of a gang, but that's different. But I was Dominican, so they looked me out. They gave me my care package. So that when by the time I reached out to my family, I got my money order. Then I threw when another Dominican came in. I added. I was one of the guys now that gave something to another Dominican. So, but if you're not there for nothing that is against the code of honor, which is snitching or hurting a child and stuff. Everybody respect each other. And in jail, see, in the world, if yo te cojo 100 pesos prestado y no te lo pago, I could move to Florida and you'll never see me again. When we all living in the same building for 5 years, even the biggest liar and the biggest thief, he got to have his word because now you'll be like, no, well, let me get a soup and I pay you in canteen and you don't pay me. Now that gets around, and now people are like, yo, no le de Marisol now, porque
Yeah, no
she don't
trust.
pay, and then you mess it up. So in jail, we all living in close quarters. So there's nowhere to run. So it's all about respect and and we men at the end of the way. You locked up with men. So it's all about respect in jail.
And
So
there's always someone worse than you, somebody who
yeah.
did worse crime than you.
And
And,
there's
and
always politics. The gangs deal with gangs, and then people, everything is different. But if people believe that, oh, you got to get into, you don't have to get into nothing. If you're a man that you have heart and you show that you hold your ground, they're gonna respect you. So, and if they see that you're a person mind your business and you're just doing your time, you don't talk to the police and all that, then everything's you do your time. So different from youth correctionals. Than I was in a prison, so I'm around older men. When you're in a youth correctional with these little young kids, all they want to do is fight and wild out. So I thank God that I was old enough. I was 19, but since I had a violent crime, they sent me to a prison. So I was around grown men from the door. So when you're around grown men, it's a different experience.
so we're, and I'm going to ask because I'm very, perhaps it sounds a little ignorant or lack of information. Were you in a federal prison or
I
in a
was in
state prison?
state prison.
And what is the difference?
It's a different.
Yes, I'm intrigued by that because I'm a very
federal prison is for people with federal charges, like usually
big.
like big time drug cartels and stuff like mafia stuff and people with high profile cases. But and the feds move you around. So I had a friend, my friend Rafi. He was in Yardsville, and because he was picked up by immigration. Immigration is part of federal. He was sent to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Hmm,
So now his mother lives in Paterson. She can't go to Albuquerque, New Mexico to
of
see him.
course.
So they do that, the feds move you around, but it is kiddie camp. They get better treatment, they get better food, because it's federal, it's more funding. When I state, we used to get shitty food, we don't, medical attention, and it's good.
So you were in.
It's state.
So you're saying no medical attention?
No, but worse medical attention. When that's in federal, they get ice cream in federal prison. They got tennis courts. When that's us, we you get medical attention, but federal their funding is way different than state. So
That's a very good information to share because a lot of perhaps me, I was very much on the limbo, like federal and state. I thought it's a big difference, but what kind of the difference in crimes aspect?
federal is better is better you better it's better living. Well, you're locked up. It's not
Okay.
better living, but it's better than state.
So when you were in prison, was it hard for you to trust people? Like, and I'm pretty sure, and we see this on series and all that stuff, that you have your own people, your friends, you hook up, you end up with having a best friend, and they become basically your family. Did
Well,
you?
you when it comes to prison, you're usually gonna look for the people that are from your town.
Right.
That's how it is. I'm from Paterson. I'm not gonna chill with Newark guys. I'm looking, hey, you from Paterson, bro? Where you from in Paterson? Oh, shit, oh. And we start talking. Now we're going to talk about stuff that has to do with where we from. Yo, you been to Torremina's Pizzeria? Yeah, it's a great pizza. You know what I'm saying? So, and then at the end of the day, you do something to me, you from Paterson, we might see each other again.
Wow.
We're gonna see each other in this because
So don't do me
we're from
wrong.
the same town. I know you now. I know where you're from. I know who your brother might be,
Oh my
and
God.
you do me dirty. We're gonna see each other in Patterson again. You know what I'm saying? And then there's those guys that are from different towns that you just get a liking to, because in prison, if you know how to draw, you know how to cut hair, you know how to fix electronics. Because for visits, I had this kid that he was from Trent. He used to cut my hair for visits, and then I had this other kid that used to know how to draw. So when I wanted to send like my mother something for Mother's Day,
Oh.
or I was talking to a girl and I want to send her something for Valentine's Day. So people used, with those people you get along with. So, I mean, you make sometimes you make friendships, and it hurts sometimes because you make friendship with people that are doing a lot of time when you're leaving and they're staying. So, when I was the day before I came home, I went to the yard. The guys playing dominoes, and they said, "You smell that?" Eran boricua, no te espero. Huele a chocha, it smell like pussy. And I'm like, what the fuck is saying that? He said, you motherfucker, you smell like pussy, you going home tomorrow, why you out here? I said, don't be mad at me, bro. I did my time. I did because they still have 5 to do,
Of
7 to
course.
do, and they looking at me, why you out here, man? You smell like pussy. You going home, you going to get pussy tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
it was like,
That's
I'm
an
like, bro,
amazing
what you
info
want me to
right
lock
there.
myself in my room and bounce off the walls? I'm going home tomorrow. I got to go come outside and respirar. So they looking at it like, man, you going home tomorrow, we got 5 to do. I said, bro, but respect me. I did my time. I did my, and they're like, no, man.
And you're gonna get
You
some
did your
pussy.
time.
Like
Yeah,
you're
you
really
did
for
your
that
time.
pussy.
So
Seriously.
it was I got along with people that I thought I would from different places, and I got along with I met some good people there, that a lot of people that didn't deserve to be there, and some that did deserve
Do
to
you
be
still
there.
have communication with some of them?
No, because you can't write. An inmate can't write.
They can
Another,
write out but not in. But you can send them information or like.
if they see if I write somebody,
Oh, like
they
like an
see that
ex
I was there,
contact.
they're
Okay.
not gonna give them the letter. So
Okay.
I will have to send it through a third party, and
Wow.
it's too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
So personality wise, I know once you're there, you lose you kind of have you have lack of, you no longer have your shower time.
Yeah, everything is
You
by
your
time.
freedom. You
Yes.
lose freedom of everything.
A man, an officer has to tell you when you could do what you got to do, and going
There's
back.
no longer mom.
Yeah, you miss your door. Let's say I was sleeping and at 12 o'clock the door was gonna open and go to the yard, and I missed the door and I come to push it. That's it. I gotta wait till the next movement.
Wow.
So you always gotta shower time, phone time, and all that.
Impressive.
And like you said about not showing you gotta carry that. When I found out my grandfather passed away, I didn't cry. I went from the visiting room to my cell, and I waited to go to the shower where I was by myself. The shower was where you by yourself, and cried in the shower so nobody could see
For
me
your
cry.
father's loss.
For my grandfather, so
Or your
nobody could see
grandfather.
me cry. So you always got to keep that exterior, but everything it is.
It's a shield.
Yeah, everything is by time. Going to the gym, going to the yard, going to the law library, so. And you got to drop slips. They have a box, one for medical, one for library. So you grab the paper, fill it out, throw it in there, and they get to you when they get to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For even grievances, when you have a grievance
Wow.
with anything. So
And I'm going to ask a question, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of us are asking out there, and you guys are be like, is it true
no, I don't see where you
that when you drop that soap, I need to.
No,
We
that's
hear this all the time.
that's-
Oz is like my number
Oz,
one.
Oz is see, but Oz I think is based out of California. California's
Oh
crazy.
no, man, but I don't care. I always heard
is
that
a-
when you drop that soap, you're
prisons in
done.
California, talking about it's race wars out there, straight Mexican mafia and Aryan Brotherhood. But here, people got a misconception from movies that people get raped in prison. It's not like that, man. It's not like that. If you're into those type of things, homosexuality, you can find your gay people and then do your thing. But people don't rape you in prison unless, from what I hear, if you're in a prison where people are doing life. There's only one prison in New Jersey. It's called New Jersey State Prison. It's in Trent. That's where all the lifers are at. You're talking about people that are
Real
doing
bad.
life that are never coming home.
Oh my Jesus.
So, if a guy's been there 20, 30,
Stay away.
a guy that's been there 30 years, now a young kid comes in there, 19, 20, and this guy's been there 30 years, there's a chance he might try to do something to that young kid. But these are guys that are never coming home, that haven't touched a woman in 30 years, that have been locked up that long. But people that are in youth correctionals and people that are in regular prison where they're doing regular time, where they're going to go home, you don't see that unless they're already gay and they're engaging with another gay person in the prison.
Yeah.
So it's not what people think, like movies and stuff.
What about when we hear that um, correctional officers? Did you get female correctional officers?
Yes.
Okay, but is it true that you might
Well,
get that
it's
cutie
happened.
one?
I
And
was
it doesn't matter if she's fucking cute or ugly, but it's a
I
female.
was locked up with this kid in Bergen County. He bagged the nurse, and she had to quit her job. And to this day, they're married. Because when I was
they got married?
yeah, when I was with
Well,
him
that's a
in there,
beautiful story.
he like yo, she used to he used to take medication, and she used to bring him the medication, and he la enamoró, and she lost her job behind it. But he told me
Well, she
that
gained a man.
he told me that they still married because he went back into the jail. And I'm like, so you met her on your last bid. And now he's back in the jail, and she don't work there no more. But it's happened where officers fall in love with inmates and stuff like that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Because
so-
we hear so many things about the soap, about the
Yeah,
female.
you, like I said, you get so many people that some stories. My there's people that go in there with different stories where might impress somebody. Like let's say a female officer that coge cariño because of what you went through, because she know your story or what you've been through in life, or you're around them every day. They're doing a bit. They say that officers, if their 25-year career is the equivalent of doing 10 years straight, which is crazy because they're there. They're there for 25 years. This is the career of a correction officer. So you build a rapport with this person. So
True. And you mentioned a little bit about health. The health system in jail. Did you encounter any health issues in jail where you needed immediate attention? And if you did you got the right attention as being whatever medical condition you were encountering or facing? Did you got the right treatment, the right doctor?
Well, the thing in jail, they got good medical, like treatment, but the operations of the jail becomes before that. So,
What do you mean the operation? Can you
for
explain?
example, when I was in prison, I got sick with my kidneys. I woke up one day and both my legs were swollen, and I could touch them and I could tell that it was fluids. So I waited for the officer to do count. I said, officer, look, I need to go to medical, man. My legs are swollen. We hadn't come off. It was count, so we were locked in, so they wasn't gonna open the cells yet. I'm like, look, usually I gotta grab a slip and fill it out, but if I do that, they're gonna call me in 2 or 3 days.
So you thought that you had an
You see, this
emergency.
is an emergency. He saw my legs. He said, Tara, let me finish my count. I'll come back up. So he popped my cell. He said, I called down there, go down there. I checked. The doctor saw me and he said, I gotta send you out for biopsy. I said, what do you mean biopsy? He said, usually when people wake up like this, de un día para otro with swollen legs because their kidneys are failing. I said, what? I said, my kidneys, what?
Shocking.
So now I go back to my cell. Now he has to fill out paperwork, wait for transportation to move me. This is a whole movement because now they got to handcuff me and take me to an outside hospital. I got to be shackled. It took 2 days for him to get the approval from the warden, everybody.
It's a protocol that they have to
for
follow.
protocol. But all this time,
And meanwhile,
el
you're
tiempo está
getting
pasando. When
worse.
it's you in the street, you go to the hospital and that's it. So they finally did the biopsy, come back that my kidneys were failing. So,
Oh, wow.
I got put on dialysis in prison.
Really?
Yeah, I did 10 months on dialysis. So there were times where I'm waiting to go to dialysis and they don't pop my cell door. And I'm like, hey, I got to go to dialysis. They're like, Sarah, there's a fight right now in this unit.
Well,
We're
your kidneys can't wait.
We're on lockdown. So they'll wait till the next day and take me early in the morning
Oh, my God.
because they got to secure the prison. So there was times that stuff like that used to happen where at the end of the day, I got effed behind it. You know what I'm saying? Peter, my cousin Peter, used to call the jail. Why? Because he used to ask me, what medication they're giving me? I used to show him the medication. He said, bro, they're new medications. Because Peter, Peter's smart as hell. He used to do his research. He'd be like, yo, they're giving you old medication. He used to call the nurse in the prison and be like, at the end of the day, he's an inmate. He's a number. We can't afford to pay for that. They're going to, if this pill costs $300 and we find a generic one that costs $20, we're going to go with the generic one.
Obvious. But do you feel that there is a lack of updated medication? I know I'm in the healthcare myself, and I have dealt with dialysis patients for many years. And unfortunately, in the United States, it's a protocol. By the time you end up in the dialysis unit, your kidney from renal failure, you end up to end stage of renal failure.
Yeah.
So this is where always be my thing with the United States, even though the United States is my country, the country that I love, and I will always say that. But being Dominican and Latina, when you go to our country in the Dominican Republic, you go into a doctor's office and they run your blood work and they do the blood work. And with the blood work, you come back 3 hours, you get the results. You see a endocrinologist. Endocrinologist feel like, okay, shit, your creatinine levels are fucked. You need to see a freaking, you really need to hit the dialysis unit. The Shiley gets in and you hit the dialysis
Well, in most
machine right there.
in most countries, healthcare is free. In the United States, it's a business.
Yeah.
So this
I don't want to
pills
get into that.
You know, I saw a
work.
documentary when I came home. I went to school to become a phlebotomist.
Phlebotomist?
And the dialysis state, they showed us a movie in Cuba. Pills that are free here cost like $7-8 a pill. So you know, here it's a business, and you really think about it. The best doctors come from our country. The only thing that the United States they can afford to buy the best machinery. In DR, they might not have a mammo scat scan machine. But the doctor is very good. He just doesn't have the machine that a mediocre doctor
that is
here
so
has.
true,
He's
no?
mediocre, but you have other machines that make you look good.
And that is so accurate. And I must add to this. My daughter, it's a medical student in the Dominican Republic, and I'm not going to ever stop saying I'm very proud of her. In the Dominican Republic, the students, the medical students have hands-on patient. Like 3 years in, the American students are very much into books. They don't touch a patient until they graduate. But meanwhile, our Dominican students are seeing patients, treating
They're in
patients.
the front line from the door.
They're doing a C-section and their light goes, because all the time in the Dominican Republic, the lights will be like, oh gosh, shit, the lights, we have no lights. So they take, now that we have cell phones, and that they have cell phones, they turn on their lights, and all of them are doing a C-section on their cell phone with a little light on.
Crazy.
So they really are made. These doctors are made. I have a lot of respect for those Cuban doctors. Cuban doctors are another doctor.
Yeah.
My God, they're an amazing doctor. So I do agree with that.
Even now, you go to the dialysis centers in DR, they got the old school dialysis machines. When here,
Yes.
my dialysis center got touchscreen.
I know. I've
Touchscreen
been there,
machines.
and it's amazing.
Touchscreen. You don't got to
beautiful.
do nothing. Now in DR, they still got the old ones. You got to do everything by manually.
Yeah.
But those are still saving lives. So you know, it is what it is. You know, gotta get. But I listen. The best people I met in prison were the people in the medical section.
Really?
Because you really gotta care about people to work out of prison, especially as a female.
Even though the system failed you in sort of a way.
Yeah, but the best in prison, you know, you meet the cops that are assholes and all that. But in the when I went to medical, everybody I met in any prison I was in medical facility, because you really have to be love people to say I'm gonna work out of prison, when you have the choice to work at a hospital in the streets. So you know, all the doctors that helped me in prison, you know, they were good. They were good to me. And if anything wasn't getting done, it was because of like I said, the operations of the system of the prison comes before anything with any. You know, I'm just a number.
Did you ever reach out to them after you left and send
No,
a thank you card or?
No, I don't think I'm allowed to fraternize with none of them.
That sucks.
But there's some people that they know who they are. They would. I remember them. And there's a few officers. I couldn't be friends with officers because I don't look right as an inmate. But there's a few officers, man, that they were. There's a difference between a pig and a cop, and some of them were cops, not pigs. You know, so some of them used to take their problems from home and take it out on us. But others, they were there for their paycheck. You know, kept them moving.
So now today is the big day. Wow, I am excited. I'm going home. How was that day?
Listen,
My
so,
mom,
I
I'm
told
coming
mommy
home.
this, right? I told mommy, no llame a nadie.
No.
Yo no quiero ver a nadie más. Yo nada más te quiero ver a ti. I want to go home. I wanted to relax. Guess what? 55 people.
Of course.
Tres pernil, 2 sancochos. I'm like,
Of course.
so now I'm like, people pulling me this way. Other family from Connecticut, family from the people pulling me this way. And I'm like, all I wanted to do was get out of there. So
How was your thought process? Seeing your family, your loved ones, the love that they showed.
I had anxiety.
Because?
Because it felt weird being home.
Overwhelmed with love.
yeah, I don't know how. A lot of people tell me that you went back to society like people I would never thought because you adapted quickly. You adapted quickly to life. Like people were like, I would never throw you were away. But inside, I was having because I was taking showers with my chancletas on.
Oh my God.
To this day, I eat with little spoons. I can't eat with big spoons. I, uh, I found beds uncomfortable at first because I used to sleep in a metal bunk with a little mattress. So, my girlfriend used to tell me, yo, you just would be weird. You just hop out the shower with your
I don't want to cry
with your
because I'm very
chocolates.
emotional.
So when I used to get up from the table, I used to have to knock in prison because you can't make no sudden movements when everybody's eating. If I'm done before all the other inmates, I gotta knock and get it. That's letting them know I'm about to get out. You just don't do no sudden movements. But it was crazy at first. Oh, and I went. Everything was tight when I was home. When I was locked. Before I got locked up, everything we used to wear baggy clothes. So
Of course.
my friend picks me up. My friend Louis, he takes me to Macy's
That's when you're out of prison.
out of prison. So he's picking out all these tight Levi's. And this is here are two men. There's three white women in the waiting area sitting down, and he's like, "Bro, you gotta pick them tighter." And I'm like, "Look, they're looking at us like we're gay here, because we're two men talking." I'm like, "Bro, I'm not wearing these tight pants, bro. I'm not wearing." He's like, "Bro, if my girlfriend will say she'll pick them tighter," and I'm like, "Bro, I can't get used to this tight stuff because back in the day we used to wear bag, and now I look back and I don't know how we wore those baggy
Of course,
stuff
because you went in.
It was so big.
When you went in, you were 19. The style was the baggy, the
4X t-shirts.
yeah, right. And that was like the.
Yeah, it was
It
crazy.
was hot as fuck because he wore the big 6X.
Now I'm
and
come
all that
home and
stuff.
everything is tight. I'm not
Oh
wearing
my
that,
God.
bro. I'm not wearing that. I'm telling him, and he's like, "Bro, you can't wear baggy stuff no more. People gonna look at you
That
like
shit
you're
is
crazy.
not on style,
It's
my
not
man."
style no more."
Yes.
My boy passed me a phone. I said, "What is this? A TV?" Because the i90 Nextel was the last phone that was out when I got
Oh,
locked
so
up.
you missed all that.
So he passed me a Samsung, a Galaxy, and I'm like, "What is this, a TV?" He said, "That's a touchscreen phone."
Yo.
Like in prison, we saw through magazines everything coming out, but we don't physically have them.
had it, yeah.
I saw a cop in prison with a Bluetooth for the first time, and I'm like, "What is this?"
Amazing.
It's a Bluetooth. So when I came home, I'm looking at all this technology, and it was crazy at first. It really was.
So practically, how was your adjustment to a new life in the outside? Like you just said, new outfits, no longer the 6X shirt. You have a Samsung. Like,
One thing I can't complain about, Marisol, is that I've always had a good support group. My family and friends nunca me dieron la espalda.
they were your support.
So when
You
I
had a
was locked
support
up,
system
yeah,
all
I
the
was
time.
good. And when I came home, my brothers, my cousins, everybody was there, man. So I've had everybody hit me off with money. So I had a little nice, put away $4,000 or $5,000. So I was doing my, and then I was thinking about what to do. Everybody kept saying work, but I ended up going back to school. So even when I told my cousin Christian, I'm like, why you didn't tell nobody that you went to school? I said, because if I would have told you, you probably would have been like, no, cousin, no haga eso. Go to work. So I just did it instead of, because, sometimes people shut, if I would have told somebody, man, so I'm thinking about going to school, you could be like, no, tú acabas de salir hace 8 años. You need to make money, go work.
Well,
So I
people
just
hold
did it.
lack
I
of
just did it.
Yeah.
So
you went
nobody
to
could shut me
school?
down.
So
Yeah,
you went to school right after you got out of jail?
I went to Star Career Academy in Clifton.
And what did you major on?
And I did
You mentioned phlebotomy.
phlebotomy and dialysis tech.
Oh my God. And you know what? I'm so excited that you say that. Being in the field with dialysis patients for over 7 years, some of my patients, they went to school to become a tech so they will understand their own
It's
machine. And that is so amazing.
And that-
My heart was like, you did that.
And that's what my teacher told me, Mr. M. He said,
You're the best candidate for that.
When a patient tells you, you don't know what I'm going through, you could say, yes, I did. I was a patient before I was a tech. So, it's
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So once you're finished school, you went to school, you went to school and you study. I'm sorry. I need my microphone. I don't know why my microphone's running away from me. It's because I'm cute. Anyway, so now here you are. You go to school. You end up being a phlebotomist, dialysis tech. Was it hard for you to find yourself a job as a phlebotomist and a dialysis tech? And why I'm asking is because I'm a business owner, And in my field, I can hire ex-convict. Their record have to be clean. Was that a issue for you to find yourself a job in your field?
One of the reasons I also chose dialysis tech, not because I was a patient, but because it was a field that you need workers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Especially in the healthcare.
And then in healthcare, if you wasn't locked up for drugs, you can get a job as if you have a crime. Because now, if I had if I went to jail for drugs, then I can't be around drugs. And when you're in a hospital, you're around all these drugs. So since I was locked up for violence, but
in the
United States, period, you have a record. That's the worst thing you can have in the United States, a record. But God is good, because one of the kids that went to school with me, he was already working for a doctor. So me and him hit it off while we were in school, because he needed to get the national. He only had regular dialysis degree for New Jersey. So he needed to pass the Bonet so he could go work. He could get in. He was moving to Florida. So he was moving to Florida. He spoke to the doctor that he worked for. Like, yo, I got this kid that I met in class, good kid, everything, but he has a record. But this doctor, Dr. P, he was a black doctor from Newark. So he told me, he said, I don't look at the records. And I said, think about it. I'm a black doctor from Newark. You know the hurdles that I had to jump?
Oh, my God.
So he said, as long as you work and you do what you got to do and you show me.
That's an angel.
So, yeah. So I worked with him. I was there for 5 years, I think.
Wow.
With Dr. P. Till I got sick, and I'm on dialysis now, but I'm on a version of getting a kidney transplant for my little brother.
Good for you, my man.
But it was hard to work and keep working with him but he gave me a chance. He didn't care about the record. He said, I'm a black doctor from Newark, man. You know the hurdles I had to jump myself
so much
to become a
doctor.
doctor. So he saw when I went there, I used to bust my ass. And now you want to bust your ass more because he gave you the opportunity with a record.
You don't want to fail him.
He loved me, man. Me and him to this day, he helped me a lot. God know what he does. So
amen. So knowing, I know you have a beautiful daughter, a little diva.
Yes.
And you have a girlfriend. What do they mean to you today?
Well, I tell my girlfriend all the time, my girlfriend Eileen, that she's my backbone. If I didn't have her in my life, I don't think, because she tells me when I need to tone it down.
Your girlfriend?
Yes. I told her, if I didn't have you, I'd probably be living with mommy.
Probably
mommy would have been cooking and cleaning for me for free. And then she's not gonna tell. I'm gonna be out, and then I'm out back to the streets. When as you have a woman, she's gonna expect things. She's gonna be like, listen, you out, and you need to. Now you can't be coming home at 4 or 5 in the morning. You have a relationship, but my daughter, she's the apple of my eye. I feel that God give men like me. They say that God give men like us, women, to humble you. Because girls, with girls you're a little bit more delicate. With a boy, you could toughen them up. But with a girl, it's so that's my way of, atoning, because I gotta make sure she grows up into a, wonderful, wonderful young lady. But my wife wants to have another. She wants to have another kid, but I get this kidney maybe.
You and the kidney transplant.
Because I told her it would be selfish now to have a kid. But then, I'm sick, and then she will already have one. If I fall in the hospital, you got to deal with 2 kids. So I get this kidney, see if we try for a boy. So hopefully.
Well, God is good, and I'm pretty sure that you will be a dad for a second child, and your girlfriend or your wife will be the happiest. And when you hear that there's behind a successful man, there is an amazing woman.
Yes.
I do agree with that. My boyfriend say that. Anyway, so let me what advice would and to finalize this amazing podcast, which has been like my overall so informative, amazing information. Amanda went in 18 years old, came out 30
31.
32, 31.
No, hold on.
Come on.
29th birthday.
39.
I came home 3 months after my 29th birthday. I'm 36 now. I'll be 37 next month.
So you had to reinvent your whole life, start a whole new life in the outside. You didn't know about the iPhones. You didn't know about the good things out there, the new style. You missed all that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to those youngsters out there who think, that they're a thug, that they can rule the world, that they can get away with anything. Perhaps that's what you thought back then.
Well,
What advice would you give them?
this is the thing, man. When I came home, my little brother told me, "Yo, your name ring bells." I said, "Yeah, fat boy, but I don't do." We call each other fat boy. I said, "Fat boy, I don't do nothing for me. I used to live in the bathroom," and I say that because I had the toilet 2 feet away from my bunk. So, we used to glorify jail was like college, but they're really taking people's soul away. They don't want to hear nothing in this country. And especially, I say Dominicans, Mexicans, and Colombians, we got a bad rap. You go in front of a judge, they automatically assume you're a drug dealer. So they don't want to hear nothing. They're giving out football numbers. And I say football numbers because the football players, the numbers
Have a
used to be
number.
88, double digits. That's what they're giving now. 20, 30. Come see me in 30 years. So, jail isn't the place to be because you could get money any day of the week, but you don't get time back. You never get time back. I lost all my 20s. And like I said, I just thank God I was born here and I wasn't deported. But, time is something precious, man. So if you could stay away from jail, trust me, you're buried alive in there. Buried alive. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you so much. I relate to your mom, not because my son went to jail, but as a mom, I can imagine going through what she went through. And kids, you're out there. Make yourself go to school. Do what you got to do. Stay away from trouble. I want to again say thank you so much for sharing your
It was a
story.
pleasure, man.